Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here today, welcome to my channel. And today we're looking at EwwFeed News. EwwFeed News' top 25 Harry Potter characters. I saw this article and I thought, okay, why not see what their best 25 characters are. I had a quick look at the beginning, I've not looked at the list, and they said they're basing these on overall fan reaction, impact on the franchise, books and films weighed out equally, and character relevance to the best moments in the series. So some of our favourite characters actually might not be in there. If Lupin's not in there, I will throw a fit. If you guys want to hear what their top 25 best Harry Potter characters are, feel free to stick around. If you like this video, hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. As I keep saying in my videos, make sure you are subscribed. This is not a joke. YouTube keep unsubscribing people from my channel. So if you want to be subscribed, please do subscribe. And without further ado, let's just get started. This video is probably going to be a slightly longer one than normal, as there are 25. So I will try and go through them quickly. Dobby is at 25. How is he that low on the list? Like right at the bottom, essentially. What? When we met Dobby, admittedly, he was pretty annoying. He was a strange little creature with a habit of hurting himself. My mum wet us laughing at that line. We went, Dobby had to iron his hands. Like she went into hysterics. Who made things difficult for Harry Potter as he began his second year at Hogwarts. But Dobby's intentions were always noble, and his determination to help Harry despite the short-term consequences was commendable. Oh yeah, like I'd say that. Yeah, no, like I think Dobby would be a Gryffindor by the sound of this. Dobby's role in the film series is far smaller than the books. Yes, it is. Like Dobby was practically in almost all of them, from the Chamber of Secrets near enough. Made frequent appearances between Chamber of Secrets and the Deathly Hallows. In the book, we saw more of how kind-hearted and loyal Dobby was, particularly towards Harry Potter, whom he indebted for his freedom. Yeah, Dobby would be like a mix of Gryffindor and Hufflepuff. But I don't see why he's at 25. 24 is Gellert Grindelwald. I'm surprised he's on this list at all, to be fair. I guess due to Fantastic Beasts, we found out more about him, and he kind of becomes more of a central character, so we kind of get to know him and see if we like him or not. His reputation may have eventually been overshadowed by Voldemort. But there was a time when Gellert was the most feared villain in all the Wizarding World. True, he was the first one before Voldemort. Voldemort can't take all the credit. Gellert Grindelwald was there first. He only has one brief appearance in the main Harry Potter series, which is when he was younger, obviously, and then when he was older. That is still what annoys me, is how the film changed him. Because in the books, he didn't tell Voldemort where the Elder Wand was, and in the film, they made him tell him. It was annoying because that was like Gellert's redemption moment. The one where he manages to stymie even Voldemort himself. It's the Fantastic Beasts movies where Grindelwald is truly coming into his own villain. True. The prequels are showcasing Grindelwald's reign of terror in the early 20th century and his troubled relationship with close friend turned rival Albus Dumbledore. It's not every villain that can manage to hide in plain sight for the entire movie. Yeah, true. 23 is Ginny Weasley. I'm going to say this. It's not Bonnie Wright's fault. She is an amazing Ginny. Don't get me wrong. But they've dulled Ginny down in the movies to, in the book, she's a firecracker. She's not as timid like that as she is. She's so upfront, and they've just made her boring. I'm sorry, it's not Bonnie Wright's fault. It's the way that it was written and the way probably the directors told her to do what she had to do. On hand in Chamber of Secrets, as lovesick little girl vest for Tom Riddle's madness, Ginny and Harry's eventual romance captivated us. Did it though? In the books, but in the movies? It seemed to both spring up out of nowhere and feel like it was meant to be all along. Well, yeah, a wee bit, but the movies messed that up. It's only natural that Harry should wind up finding love in the same family where he found family. True. But then they make that sound really weird. How he's found family in the Weasleys, but he's dating Ginny. It was refreshing to finally see someone in Hogwarts see Harry as proud and pensive catch that he was. While it wasn't really captured in the films, Ginny becomes a true leader of rebel forces like no other. She's strong, determined, alluring young woman who is always there to fight for forces of evil as a member of Dumbledore's army. Ginny is the quintessential girl who got her guy, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Like I said, in the books, she's so determined. She's definitely more, like, in the books, you can definitely tell that she is a Gryffindor, for sure. Like, for sure. In the films, not so much. 22 is Gilderoy Lockhart. How is he on this list? And this is just short, I'm not kidding. How is he on this list? Gilderoy Lockhart is a real charmer. It's through sheer charisma and the occasional memory charm that he's established himself in sight as one of the most accomplished wizards of all times without actually performing any of the heroic acts he has claimed to have done in numerous best-selling books, because he's a liar and he's a fraud. He's a Ravenclaw. It annoys me. How is he a Ravenclaw? The vain and self-aggrandizing, I can't read, I don't know how to say that word. Lockhart's habit of exaggerating his own deeds would backfire when he was hired as defence against the dark arts at Hogwarts School. He would at first relish the position and yet another avenue of self-promotion, but his buffoonery and incompetence soon got the best of Lockhart. His false claims are revealed by Harry Potter and his friends after Lockhart cowardly attempted to flee the school. Right, this is said it's supposed to be based on fan things and the movies and that, right? The only best thing he kind of gave us was, didn't remember that my favourite colour is lilac. And then, let me introduce you to your defence against the dark arts teacher. Me. Do you honestly think Gilderoy Lockhart should be on this list at all? Let me know in the comments below. And if you do think yes, explain to me why. 21 is Albus Severus Potter. Harry Potter may have faced a difficult childhood being known as the boy who lived, but that's nothing compared to growing up with the biggest celebrity in the wizarding world for a father. Making matters worse is that Albus Severus is named after two of the other important wizards in history. Very true. His central conflict is right there in his name. He feels the pull between fame and anonymity, good and evil, and Gryffindor and Slytherin. To date, the Potter movies has only given us a small glimpse of Harry and Ginny's troubled son. To get the full story behind Albus Severus' time at Hogwarts and the adventure he faces, you have to be lucky enough to see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on stage. But we're hopeful that it'll matter of time before the young wizard gets his time in cinematic spotlight. I don't want Cursed Child to be a movie. It's better as a play. I get why Albus is on there, because if you've seen the play, or if you read the play even, you know what his character's like. You do kind of feel for him. At points though, he is a bit of a brat. Why is Molly Weasley only at number 20? Imagine the perfect, loving, giving mother, and then add magic. That's Molly Weasley for you. We love her husband Arthur as well, but Molly's treatment of Harry has always been a particularly wonderful part of the series. Harry's an orphan, treated horribly by his aunt and uncle, and his relationship with his godfather Sirius was tragically cut short. But since the day Harry met Molly, she's treated him like another son and given him the love, support, and yes, Christmas presents he's been lacking in his life. While we're used to Molly as a lovable, concerned, or amusingly chastising, if you're Fred and George, classic mother figure, she also has her own courage and strength to call upon, willingly risking herself as a member of the Order of the Phoenix, and when her children are threatened, well, let's just say Bellatrix learned her lesson the hard way. Yeah, Molly is just all-round amazing woman, taking Harry in, even though she's got loads of kids of her own already. She's taking him in, gives him Christmas presents, gives him places to stay, that he's always welcome at the Burrow. She's there to help him, give him advice, and she's just the loveliest woman in the world. I think she's my favourite female character behind Luna. 19 is Mad-Eye Moody. I'm like, grizzled. If there's one word that could describe Alistair Mad-Eye Moody in a nutshell, it's grizzled. One of the most known Aurors of all time, Moody was a fierce fighter for good in the First and Second Wizarding Wars. He lost an eye, which was replaced with a magical one. He has a wooden leg and his face is covered with scars. His experience in battle left him emotionally damaged as well, paranoid, bitter and eccentric. In spite of his seemingly fragile mental state, the veteran Moody was convinced to come out of retirement by Dumbledore to serve as defence against the dark arts teacher. But Moody was shortly attacked by Barty Crouch Jr., who would trap and subsequently imprisonate him using Polyjuice Potion in service of Voldemort. The real Moody would go on to serve in the Reformed Order of the Phoenix, faithfully protecting Harry from Voldemort and his forces until his death in the Line of Duty in Deathly Hallows Part 1. These things aren't really giving why they're there, like, for the fans, like, and they're weighing up things for books. Like, I don't know what this is, but I'll agree with that. Moody is one of those characters that I think if grandparents and things watched the Harry Potter films with their grandkids, they could relate to Moody if they've ever been through any of the stuff that he's done. I think he's one of those characters that are there for relevance for the older people that are watching us, older witches and wizards that watch these. I do like Moody. I think he's funny. I think he is a bit of a breath of fresh air sometimes, and just a reminder that this wizarding world is like dangerous as well as the Muggle world is dangerous. McGonagall's at 18. How is she there? It's the placement of half of these I'm like, I don't agree with. Set at Gryffindor House and Deputy Headmistress of Hogwarts, Professor McGonagall can be a strict disciplinarian. Oh, we know this. She's quick to kick misbehaving students out of her class and deduct house points when the situation warrants, but she can also be kind of like that cool aunt of yours, the one who sometimes lets you get away with a bit of mischief, and that's what's so endearing about McGonagall. She grew up attending Hogwarts and returned to the school as an adult to teach Transfiguration under Headmaster Albus Dumbledore, who would later entrust her with the Deputy Headmistress position and serve with her in the Order of the Phoenix during the First Wizarding War. After the infant Harry Potter's defeat of Voldemort, McGonagall was one of the members of the Order who travelled to Privet Drive to leave the child in the care of the Dursley family, who she viewed as the worst kind of muggles. She would later take Potter into her own house at Hogwarts and watch over him throughout there. She is like kick-ass McGonagall. Like, she's awesome. I think if she is like my third favourite female behind Molly, and then Molly's behind Luna. She's kind of like Molly in a way, but more of a grandmother type figure to Harry. Just obviously keeping an eye on him, making sure he gets to his classes, making sure like everyone's behaving. Like, she is a pretty cool character. I do like McGonagall. It's the woman we love to hate. How is she? I think they've done this on purpose. How is she one bit higher than McGonagall? Obviously because we love to hate her, and that is the actress's brilliant performance is why we love to hate her. Like, with every villain, if you hate them that much, it's a credit to the actor because they've done their job correctly. Oh, how we hate this woman, which is why she belongs on this list. J.K. Rowling really outdid herself when she created Dolores Umbridge. Voldemort is a terrific villain, to be sure, but it could be argued he's never got under our skin like Umbridge did. Like, literally, I posted a poll on my channel here, and Umbridge won. I asked who's worse, Voldemort or Umbridge, and everyone practically picked Umbridge. Like, she is the worst. Perhaps it's because Voldemort came in and out of Harry's life. His threat was ongoing, but he wasn't walking around the hallways of Hogwarts. But Umbridge, for one miserable year, she was a constant miserable presence in Harry's life. In all our lives for that whole movie. This is a woman who thinks that the appropriate way to punish a student involves making him perform a ritual which, thanks to magic, causes him to bleed over and over again. One of many despicable acts. The fact that she spoke in a bluntly forced sing-song voice and wore godly pink clothes only added to her hideousness. Yep. Imelda Staunton does a great job for playing this character. She does. But it should be noted that as nasty as Umbridge is in the film, in the book, she's even worse. Causing many a Harry Potter reader to feel true hate for this fictional character. Stephen King, oh my god, referred to Umbridge as the greatest make-believe villain to come along since Hannibal Lecter. Stephen King is the king of horror. I will agree with him on that. I can see why they maybe put her on this list, because the actress Imelda Staunton did like the most amazing job, and she was astounding. It's a credit to her that she played this role well enough for us to hate her. Oh, Lucius Malfoy's on the list. Draco Malfoy's Talbot from the second we met him, so it's no shock to discover his dear old dad was cut from the same cloth. A man of power and influence, wording where Lucius hides behind a shield of wealth while plotting some very dark things. A long-time supporter of Voldemort, it was his actions that set into motion the entire plot of the Chamber of Secrets as he slid Tom Riddle's old diary into Ginny Weasley's cauldron. True. His unwarranted biting comments about the Weasley family are enough to make us hate him, but on top of that, Lucius has shown he is willing to do anything in support of the Dark Lord, including one-to-one confrontations with Harry. Lucius is brought to life in the films by the great Jason Isaacs, who gave the character just the right arrogant, smug attitude. You can just feel Lucius' absolute conviction in his character and his anger that a boy like Harry would dare attempt to stop Voldemort, and those like Lucius who follow his lead. Watching Lucius fall from grace in the Death Elves Part 1, as he now had much more to prove to his Dark Lord, only added our fascination with the character. True, like, he starts off all like I'm going to bring the Dark Lord back, and then he doesn't like Harry, and he even tried to kill Harry. He was going to say Avada Kedavra in that movie. And then to watch him like become, when the Dark Lord appears, to watch him turn from I'm all high mighty to like then Voldemort comes back to going, I'm sorry my lord, I'm sorry. Like, he goes down, and it's just, it is incredible to watch him, like his characters just go, ooh, hi, Newt Scamander's at 15. I do love Newt, to be fair, I do love him. It wouldn't do for a Harry Potter spin-off series to feature a Harry Potter clone in the lead role. Thankfully, Newt Scamander has quickly established himself as a very different sort of wizarding hero. Nerdy, awkward, and obsessed with his work, Newt is sort of like if Hermione had been the main protagonist of Harry Potter movies. Thanks to the Fantastic Beasts prequels, Newt has become our gateway into weird and wonderful creatures of the Harry Potter universe. We do wish the first two movies had done more to truly flesh out Newt as a character and not just Dumbledore's soft-spoken errand boy, but at least Newt still has several more movies. No, he doesn't. This article has been written recently. He's so quirky in a way that makes people love him, and I've heard a few people say they've seen themselves in Newt a lot more than Harry, and it's nice to have a different sort of hero come into play. Yay, Lupin! He's at 14, but at least he's on the list. He's on the list. He's on the list. My favourite character. Harry Potter had a good reason to distrust Defence Against the Dark Arts teachers, given his experience with the first two. One tried to kill him, and the other one was an idiot. Lucky for him, Remus Lupin was cut from a different cloth than Quirrell or Lockhart. Lupin is kind, caring presence in Harry's life, and while Dumbledore certainly was already looking out for Harry, Lupin was a much more available source of comfort and support for the orphan boy during the single year he taught him, at least when it wasn't a full moon. An old friend of Harry's parents, he was able to give Harry personal, intimate insight into who they were that no one else had been able to provide. And all that. And he's a werewolf. Lupin didn't see that as a plus, of course, but it's a very cool extra component to the character as we see this thoughtful, warm man work to control the monster he turns into. And while Lupin's role is lessened after Prisoner of Azkaban, because he was supposed to be in loads more, and they cut him out, and I'm pissed, he remains a defendable figure in Harry's life and valiant member of the Order of the Phoenix, and eventually for Tonks, something even more important, which is so cute, I love it. I wish they didn't cut out half of their stuff. Obviously, we know why he's on this list. Everyone loves Lupin. He was the best defense guards teacher you ever had. It was another father figure to Harry. He was the one that first gave him insight into who his parents were. He was always there to defend Harry and look after him, make sure he was safe. So I get why Lupin is on this list. Yay, then we got my another favourite, Luna. I know she's insane, but in a good way. Ron Weasley's characterization of Luna is precisely what makes this loony Ravenclaw girl such a delight. She's an offbeat type with an interest in the macabre. And really, it's not surprising that she's a little strange when you consider that her mother died in a tragic magical accident when she was young, and her father, Xenophilius, publishes the outrageous wizarding tabloid The Quibbler. Luna is often shunned in her oddball ways. Things change when she meets Harry and friends on the Express on their way to their 5th year at school. Luna joins the cadre of Helix students in Dumbledore's army and plays a critical role within the group. She does. Like, everyone loves Luna because Luna is that character that who's quirky. You can relate to her for being different. She, in the book, I can't believe we had to wait that long for her. It's insane that we had to wait that long to get introduced to that character. But she's always like a breath of fresh air. She's very smart, and she helped Harry out in the last movie when he wouldn't even want to listen to her. She was like, Harry Potter, you listen to me right now. And she had to tell him, you need to find Helen at Ravenclaw. There's no point going to Ravenclaw Tower. She's very smart, but everyone just looks at her because she's different, she's weird, and no one's like, oh, she's not that good, she can't do anything. She's smart in her own way, and I think that's why everyone loves Luna. Hagrid's 12. I'm gonna start crying. For a boy like Harry who grew up without any friends, a big, warm and fuzzy brute like Hagrid couldn't have bust down the door at a better time, and a true friend he was. When others among the staff at Hogwarts were quick to skewer Harry with insults and shrug off his queries with mysterious glares, Hagrid was always there as a true confidant. It was always helpful to have a big lug on the payroll who's got your back, and even if he's a bit of a well-intentioned klutz. Hagrid's most powerful and emotional moments still resonate because of his history with Harry, Hermione and Ron. He's a surrogate for us, the audience, as we watch our favourite students mature and develop into young warriors. The short scene in Goblet of Fire where he walks through the woods with our heroes, recollecting favourable times with the three of them, give us all cherished moments. And I can't say anything else because I'll start crying. I can't say anything, I'll start crying. I can't. George! It's just George! It just says George Weasley, I swear. Look. Where our three heroes fumbled and stumbled about Hogwarts trying to decide what their future held, the Weasley twins had the luxury of knowing their passion, pranks, gags and gaffes. While everyone else fretted over their exams, Ron's older brothers had an entrepreneur's eye and a magician's mirth. Having always been on the hand to help Harry out in the tough situations, the brave brothers were auspiciously born on April Fool's Day. The more they pestered and prodded at Ron, the more we realised that they were the kind of older brothers that we all would have wanted to grow up with. Taking umbrage at Umbridge and leaving Hogwarts with a bang in Order of the Phoenix showed us these two weren't just goofy side splitters. They were brave, valid freedom fighters, and Fred would pay the ultimate price from the end. So I'm thinking it's supposed to be both of them, but they've just put George for some reason. What can you say about the Weasley twins? The fact that they're comic relief, that they are smart in their own way. They literally knew what they wanted to do. They were like, we're going to open a shop. We're doing it. They're very clever in their own way. Very, very clever. And then they are like the older brothers you'd want to have, like, just have fun with, talk. Yeah, you can see why they're there. 10 is Bellatrix Lestrange. She's another villain we love to, like, we hate her, but we love her because she's been portrayed so good by Helena Bonham Carter. She's amazing. Some people just enjoy being evil. If you're looking for proof, let's introduce you to Bellatrix Lestrange and suggest you pray that you survive the encounter. Bellatrix has a little of the cold, calculating nature of Voldemort or Lucius Malfoy. She simply relishes doing wicked, wicked things and laughing all the while. Her villainy would have been sentimented simply by her backstory, as we discovered she had tortured poor Neville Longbottom's parents so horrifically it left them insane. But after she escaped from Azkaban, Bellatrix proved she was far from done. She murdered her own cousin Sirius Black and per usual seemed more entertained than anything by what she'd done. which left Harry Potter without someone he'd come to love like a family member. She then went on to sadistically torture Hermione and murder Dobby, giving this woman a stunning list of horrific accomplishments. Considering all the destruction she was responsible for, her ultimate fate seemed well earned. It did. Molly killed her. And well done, Molly. She is the villain we love. We love, like, it's not that we love to hate her, because we do, but we just love, every time she's on screen, you automatically like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? She's just crazy, and it's fun. 9 is Draco Malfoy. So we help follow Harry's path of righteousness adventure during his year at Hogwarts. It only makes sense that we follow his cracked mirror reflection. As someone that grew up totally opposite to Harry, the aristocratic puke known as Draco Malfoy was privileged, pompous and prejudiced. With the threat of Voldemort's return loomed outside the walls of Hogwarts, Harry needed a lesser evil to keep him occupied when school was in session, and Draco did his absolute best to make Harry's life as horrid and horrible as possible. But just when we're beginning to think that Draco was nothing more than a nuisance, he got charged by the Dark Lord with killing Dumbledore. And suddenly we were witness to Draco's intention into the ranks of true evil and found ourselves actually invested in his choices, particularly when we saw Dumbledore, as Dumbledore did, that Draco Malfoy, as nasty as is not a murderer. Draco's one of those characters, again, you love to hate. From the start, you knew him and Harry were going to have a conflict. I think in the thing that let them down was they didn't give Draco his comeback moment. They didn't give him a chance to redeem himself. Then they just made him leave his parents, which was annoying. Because then it doesn't resolve anything between Harry and Draco. You see how Tom has developed Draco in his own way, and it's brilliant to see even in like the Half-Blood Prince, it's so different. 8 is Sirius Black, because how is he not on this list? Have you seen this wizard? Approach with extreme caution. So read the wanted posters plastered everywhere in the wizarding world upon Sirius Black's escape from Azkaban prison, where he'd been sent years earlier for the murder of 12 muggles and needed Voldemort. But Sirius is an innocent man, and it's after he's vindicated that the character truly comes alive. Sirius was a close friend of James and Lily Potter, so much so that they named him Harry's godfather, and when he maintains a sort of edgy, rebellious appeal, imitating a truly badass vibe at times, it's the father-son relationship that begins to develop between Sirius and Harry that endears the character to us. Sadly, however, Sirius met his untimely demise before he could truly become a full-fledged father to Harry. Sadly, he did. I really like Sirius. In the books, he's more harsh. Like, he is a bit more awful to Harry, but it's only because he can't go out of Grimmauld Place, because obviously people will be looking for him because they still think he's guilty. He does have that side to him where he can be a bit mean, but the way Gary Oldman's portrayed him in the movies is that you can't help but feel sorry for him, and you can't help but love him, and you want Harry to stay with him, and you want them to be like a father and son. And sadly, it's cut short, and it's actually like, it's actually cruel. Voldemort's number 7, actually, which is weird. The greatest thing about Voldemort, aka Tom Marvolo Riddle, was that he was rotten to the very core. There would be no redemption for such a wicked spirit. There was never any good lying dormant underneath Voldemort's dark exterior. He was never corrupted as a child. He was the corrupter. When other powerful sorcerers don't even have the cojones to speak your name, then you know you truly arrived as the ultimate master of malice. As the most sinisterly popularized villain since Darth Vader, Voldemort was truly frightening. In book after book, Harry managed to evade certain death only by the skinny skin of his teeth. We literally could not figure out a way that Harry, as cunning as he was, could ever defeat such a powerful evil force. Voldemort might not have been able to comprehend love or friendship, but that certainly did not stop us from taking a delight in such a devilishly dreadful dude. True. Like, when you think of ultimate villains in literature and movies, Voldemort is going to be up there. His backstory is incredible, like I've already said, and it makes you delve into the character a lot more. And like, I can understand why he's at number 7. 6 is Neville. Neville's such an underrated character. Neville embodies the quintessential dimwit turned hero. That he is. When we first meet him at Hogwarts, Neville's a shy introvert who's simply not that good at magic. In fact, those close to Neville quietly wonder if he might nearly be a squib, someone born into a wizarding family without magic powers. He's lovable, sure, but his early misadventures don't explicitly foreshadow the valiant defender of Hogwarts that he would ultimately be. While he begins to show loyalty and signs of bravery early on, it isn't until Neville's 5th year and his participation in Dumbledore's army that we can truly see him come into his own. Neville's accompanies his friends on their mission to the Department of Mysteries, where he comes face to face with Bellatrix, the twisted servant of Voldemort who cruelly tortured his parents years before using the Cruciatus Curse. This would mark a turning point for Neville, leading to some truly awesome moments of bravery in the final battle of Hogwarts. Yes, The way Neville is portrayed, and in the films and in the books, ultimate combined. He's perfect. I absolutely love Neville. You can relate to Neville so much, especially if you've gone through what he's gone through. Like, he's like Harry's lost his parents, outcast, underdog, looked down on as not very good. He can't do anything right. But all he needed was guidance and someone to believe in him, and he grew into a hero, and it's amazing. It's understandable why he's like in the top 10. Fifth is Albus Dumbledore. For the character that was introduced into popular culture only in recent years, it speaks volumes that Dumbledore has already taken his place among the great mentor figures in literature and film. True. Like Gandalf and Yoda before him, Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore plays the role of a wise sage, guide, and pseudo-grandfather in the story. There's a whimsical eccentricity to Dumbledore that might mislead some to thinking he's kind of absent-minded professor. That would be a mistake, as he's proven to be one of the most skilled wizards that ever lived. True, him and Grindelwald were called the greatest wizards of their time, and I don't think people should be forgetting that. In the films, we love Richard Harris' more soft-spoken approach early on. Love Richard Harris. First Dumbledore. Always going to be my first Dumbledore. But I have to admit that Michael Gambon felt right at home showing Dumbledore as his most impressive, from taking on Voldemort in one-on-one battle to single-handedly thwarting off a horde of zombie-like Inferi. His absence in Harry's life after he was killed by Snape on the Astronomy Tower on a fateful and tragic night was powerful, even as Harry had begun to learn new and potential troubling information about his mentor before finally accepting him for the great man he was, even amongst flaws he readily admitted to. Dumbledore is one of those characters where he has so many sides to him, and it's incredibly done. The differences between all three of them, Harris, Gambon and Law, they've all played Dumbledore differently, but they're all Dumbledore. Like, you can see it. His backstory is incredible. He turned his life round. He was a grandfather to Harry, and I think all three of them have portrayed him brilliantly. Snape's at number 4. So, whether you love him or hate him, or love to hate him, Severus Snape makes quite an impact in the Harry Potter series. If you're Harry, Snape is a nightmare of a teacher, picking on the boy from the moment he stepped into potions class and showing clear favouritism towards Draco Malfoy and other Slytherin students. And yet, when Harry and his friends thought Snape was the one trying to steal the Sorcerer's Stone, it turned out he was trying to protect it. And every now and again, Snape actually seemed like he was trying to help these kids. Snape turned into one of the most discussed and debated characters from Harry Potter. Is he an evil man with moments of good, or a man who has some very ugly characteristics, or something more complicated altogether? When Snape killed Dumbledore, it was a defining moment for Harry, who couldn't fathom Dumbledore being betrayed by a man who his mentor had, for whatever reason, chosen to trust so much. So we couldn't ask for a better actor than Alan Rickman to portray Snape, bringing the same charisma he's given to many villains. I miss Alan Rickman so much. Yeah, his portrayal of Snape was amazing. I think it's only because obviously he asked J.K. Rowling for... He's like, I need to know what's happening here. Where's this character going? I need to know. And she told him. He had a very good insight into where his character was going, and I think that helped him. Snape is always one of those debated ones, because there are people who genuinely love Snape. There are people who hate him. And there are people who love to hate him. And I've seen loads of videos of people saying, you shouldn't like Snape, and here's why, and da-da-da. Right, if Ron is 3, I'm guessing Harry's first and Hermione's in the middle, because Ron is at 3. I'm not going to read this whole thing, because obviously Ron has many different moments. It's sad that he's used for comic relief more in the films than he is in the book. He's smarter in the books. He knows all about the Wizarding World. It's not just Hermione. Him and Hermione are like, I'm going to do him and Hermione right now, like both of them together. So him and Hermione are like Harry's parents in the Wizarding World, like introducing him. Like Ron goes, oh, this is this, and this is this, and this, and Hermione is teaching him. They like, oh, this is how you do this, do that. This is what this means in the Wizarding World. Like, they both know their stuff. They're both there for Harry. They're his best friends. They're ultimately the people who save his life half the time, because without both of them, I don't think he'd have survived first year, not going to lie. And when their relationship is a typical relationship, boy meets girl, friends first, think they like each other, don't like each other, like each other, don't like each other. Someone starts dating another person, the other one hates it, and then they finally admit it and get together, and it's sweet to see their friendship and their relationship develop. I think Ron and Emma have done the most brilliant job. And of course, number 1 is himself. He's the one ultimately leading the film, the franchise, and in the books. He is the character that's going to go through the most developing, because all the stuff he goes through is just insane for a kid to go through. even as a teenager, it's insane the amount of stuff he has to go through: loss, love, death. Like, it's like the amount of it, like, that is like something no kid should ever have to go through, and it's insane. And Dan portrayed it brilliantly. Like, first seeing him on screen in Philosopher's Stone, I couldn't picture anyone else. Like, he looked like the front cover of the book, and I was like, that's Harry Potter, that's Harry. And then watching all three of them go through the 8 films, and the way they've developed their acting was amazing. And you grew up with them. I don't think if the 3 of them captured that, it would have worked, but they've captured it completely well. So that's it, guys. That was EwwFeeds news. That was their top 25 best Harry Potter characters. Do you agree with this list? Let me know in the comments down below. Who's your top character? If you had to make a list between 1 to 10 of your top characters, who would they be? Let me know down in the comments. Give this video a like. Remember to subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye.